Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar series with KATA Global Logistics. Today is a little bit of an ad hoc episode simply because we are wanting to address the Red Sea disruptions, and I'm joined by some very, very important guests, joined by Mr. Toby Roberts, who is heading the UK side of things for KATA Global Logistics.
Thank you, Pierre. And yeah, it's great to be on this first webinar here. I think it's a really good session where we're looking to inform businesses about the disruption of global shipping. A bit of a background of myself: I've been working for customs and trade in general for nearly 10 years now, and helping a lot of e-commerce sellers ensure that they can sell products in both the UK, Europe, and also in the US.
Amazing. We're also joined by Mr. Wadham as well, who is heading the European side of things so for KATA Global Logistics out of Amsterdam.
Good afternoon. Hi, nice to be here. My background is a little bit different than Toby is because my experience is more in the freight forwarding since as I've been doing this since 1986 and have been running several companies here in Amsterdam, and now have the nice challenge to work with Avast/KATA Global Logistics.
Amazing. And last but not least, Dr. Angelos Katsaris from Avast.
Yes, thanks, guys. Angelos here. I'm the Professional Service Director for Avast and one of the partners. From my side, I would say why I'm here today is to bring the commercial, and I would say the voice of the seller, and how we are to be considering this incident kind of series that are happening in the Red Sea, and what could be the strategic business plan probably for this type of disruption, but also maybe in future events, and how the sellers should consider responding to this kind of events.
Amazing. And my main point is we have great expertise in this particular webinar session about this current disruptions that are happening through the Red Sea. So in this video, the way we've broken it down is to kind of understand what's actually going on. I think it's been in the news. People kind of understand what's been going on, but they don't really understand how it's affecting, and it's going to affect their business in the future. Hence why we're looking at previous options as well. Earl's experience comes in through, as he said, he's been around working with freight forwarding for such a long time. And then our main purpose of this video is to give you the idea on, first of all, how to adapt your business right now, but at the same time, how to set up your business for the future to be able to kind of deal with those disruptions, whatever they may be in the future. We're going to go straight into it. And I think the main reason why we wanted to do this video is because it's something that's happening quite live right now. And through the expertise of KATA Global Logistics, what we want to understand what is the best options for businesses that are trying to and planning their shipments for the rest of the year, right? And the main reason, especially for this video, is according to Freightos, we are looking at shipping fees going up already by 50% due to the disruptions. Why is that, Toby?
Yeah, I think simply put, what we're seeing here is there is disruption with global shipping in the Red Sea. We are seeing freight vessels being attacked, which has meant many of the major shipping lines have stopped taking the usual route and are being diverted. We're seeing knock-on effects of this: increased transit time, additional costs, and less space on the vessels from Asia to the UK, Europe, and US.
Yeah, and do you think, and also there's a build-up to Chinese New Year as well, isn't it? So overall, I think this is why we started the video, is because we want to understand there are so many different disruptions. I want to use Earl especially for his knowledge from 40 years of freight forwarding. What I want to know, Earl, is what has been similar over the past few years that's been a disruptor to the industry, and how did kind of the world and the business, deal with that accordingly at that time?
Yes, that's a good one. The last disaster we had was, of course, during COVID. This was for the shipping lines. This was a perfect position, but for the consumer and the importer or records, it was just a major catastrophic period due to the unpredictable changes of ocean freight, where ocean rates went up to $10,000 for a 40-foot container, which doesn't make any sense if your products have a low value. So it ruined a lot of business here in Europe, at least. And this is now when we started this sessions talking about this, is what we should try to get to our customers, because we need to be proactive, start making some plans for our customers to not end up in 2 or 3 months having to pay these ridiculous amounts, if we can do something about it currently, where the rates are already going up.
Absolutely. And we've seen one of the examples, the latest examples, I'd say, is when there was the Suez Canal disruption as well. How did you see the sort of rates change around then? How do you expect more or less to change right now?
Yeah, I think that's a good example. So the Ever Given in the Suez Canal, which was disrupted the same passage which we're seeing here. So what we saw in the initial was what could be done to remove the Ever Given and make sure that global trade could continue. However, these things can take time. What we saw initially was an increase in freight prices. And again, similarly as what we're seeing, we saw diversions around the Cape of Good Hope, which again is what we are seeing. We can expect a similar sort of changes as to what we saw with the Ever Given with the Red Sea disruption we're seeing today.
And what is the main difference for our listeners now that, for example, the Suez Canal is kind of blocked because of the situation that's going on? Big shipping liners like Maersk and Hapag-Lloyd have actually stopped shipping from there at all and are going through the Cape of Good Hope. What are the waiting times, the cost differences that you are predicting because of that?
Yeah, I think we're only seeing the initial increases in cost now, but what I think we can learn from the Ever Given and what Earl was mentioning with regards to COVID is that shipping lines are often quick to put their rates up when there is global disruption. We don't always see these be reduced as quickly as they are increasing. The knock-on effect here is that we can expect Q1 of 2024 to see higher shipping rates than we would have expected. We would typically see an increase with regards to Chinese New Year, but I think what we're going to see is a larger increase, and perhaps this staying for the next few months. We've already seen some shipping lines suggest that rates for February are going to increase again rather than decreasing, which means that for the knock-on for sellers and businesses, you can expect to really try and plan your 2024 supply chain, and if you don't, you could be hit with much higher prices than you're expecting.
Absolutely. And my main point, and point of the video, I'd say, is for us through KATA Global Logistics and Avask, of course, is to give the best possible advice and sort of help businesses adapt to the situation that's currently going on. So I'm going to ask an open questions to everyone. I'm going to start with you, Toby. How do you think businesses can start adapting, knowing the situation there is going right now? And we're going to talk about the future sort of setup later on.
Yeah, I think firstly it's all about planning, and businesses who fail to plan are going to find themselves in a lot more issues than the ones that are proactive here. I think we're seeing that the majority of vessels are going to be diverted in Q1. So what that means is an increase in transit time. Yeah. If that's going to be a big problem to your business, the sooner that you react to that, the better. However, if you've got frequent shipments, it may just be, or if you've got good warehousing, an increase in the transit time may not be detrimental to you. However, transit time is not the only one. There's going to be a lack of space. Everyone's going to want to get their freight out of Asia as soon as possible. So preparing early is going to be good. The last thing is regards to prices are going up. And if it's a case of your products have to be shipped via ocean freight or they are larger items, the more you can plan this to make sure that you can get your best products in stock is going to be best.
Yeah, I'd say one of the main words I always use with our clients is all about diversification and diversifying those options and inbound options as well. And Angelos, any to add to that?
I would like to suggest, I'd like to add that, like Toby said, look at your supply chain, look at your order management, and think about that where the transit time is increased with easily 10 to 15 days. If you're shipping LCL, just add a few more days and you're up to 20 days before you know it. With the sailing time of 26 days, it's 46 days. If you have stock which needs to be transit quick, then you need to start building stock up in here in somewhere in Europe, and do some warehousing so that you can deliver your shipments to your end users. Because this is going to be, either way, it's going to end up having a long time period we're going to talk about now. This is not going to stop within a few weeks.
Absolutely, it's hard to predict, right? And for me, another thing is on a advising basis, what I will look at, if especially with the order management that you just said, it's about understanding your SKU line as well. So we all know that air shipment and air cargo is going to be the fastest one, tends to be the most expensive one as well. However, if you have your higher selling SKUs running low, air freight becomes that sort of immediate option that you can use. There's also rail freight, but I know that you have some sort of ideas about rail freight not being necessarily the most reliable option.
I think with rail freight, and it's a case of your shipping strategy is going to depend on each business. So there's some advice that we can give which is generic in the sense of rail freight is going to be quicker than ocean freight. It's not going to be as quick as air freight. However, it's going to depend on your product line and where your supplier is located in your final destination to work out, is rail freight the option for me, or is air freight, or is it worth sort of holding out for ocean freight but making sure your order levels are there? So I think what we will see here is that we need to make sure that you're planning in advance your shipping strategy. KATA Global Logistics, we can support here and make sure that you're not caught out by these global disruptions, because although we can give information about the current global situation, it could be that in 6 or 12 months there's something different, and it's making sure that you're prepared as best as possible for these unforeseen sort of events.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I'm going to look into best business advice, and I'm going to go to Angelos on this one, because we've talked about the disruptors and we're talking about how to adapt right now. But I think because, as we've already said, there isn't such a timeline. We don't necessarily know how long this is going to last. We need to understand how can business adapt on a long-term basis, right? So understanding how to prepare for the future. So yeah, the question goes to you, to Angelos, because you've seen the disruption that the COVID times did as well. How can businesses really start thinking about planning for the future and make sure that you're not affected too much by these disruptions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, definitely. I would say COVID gave us a rude awakening for the past, I would say 3-4 years ago, and it was a really unique situation for everybody to be able to adapt fast. Some people, and I would say entrepreneurs who may have not had this kind of disruption in the past, were found in a situation whereby they had to diversify and they had to find certain alternative routes or new opportunities. I would say the biggest lesson for me is that, and for any commerce seller out there, but also any general trader, I would say it's more like have this kind of plan B for your business. Know what kind of alternatives you may have. Earl spoke previously about maybe utilizing some warehousing opportunities. I think this is an option that should always be in mind, and probably it's knowing a little bit more like your replenishing rate and how soon you can actually stock up. And to be honest, in a certain way, it is a process that should be it should be routinized for every business. I would say the key part that every seller, apart from any temporary or like mid-term disruptions, is always to understand, what kind of the cost analysis that they have to bring in this situation. It is obvious that certain cost is going to be added in this kind of process. So it means that it is very important to understand what the competition does for each seller, which means that it's always really important to keep a close eye on what your close competitors may be having as a strategy in this process. Maybe they may be running certain promotions or not rolling over that extra cost from the increased shipping expenses for the period just to become more competitive, but equally understanding, what kind of where the cost mitigation can come for every shipment. And it's important to stress that, there are some sellers that are maybe having really sporadic to, I would say, periodical shipments along the year. But of course, there could be another level of shipping requirements that could be even once a week or even once a day. This is a different strategy that should be followed through at that point. And I would say it's critical to have options like, rail shipping may be a temporary solution, but equally, it's all about, delivery times, etc.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I'm going to ask every single one of you, what is one piece of advice that you would give businesses in general on how to plan for the future? One of my favorite points was definitely the warehousing, because from experience of dealing with businesses, that warehousing sort of central hub per continent kind of gives you the ability to manage everything and make sure that it gives you better order management as well anyway. But it gives you the idea of, okay, if I able to ship a vessel through a vessel right now and be able to actually restock everything for now, and then whilst these prices are going up, if I can keep refilling my best-selling SKUs through air, through rail, whatever the best option may be, then it's a fantastic solution instead of having it to ship every single time on larger shipments, right? What's one piece of advice you would give?
Yeah, I think for me it's about the shipping strategy, making sure you're aware at the start of the year of what you're planning to do.
Yeah.
I think we see the sellers who have had a shipping strategy for last year probably end up in a better situation now, because they wouldn't find themselves with an inventory level very low around Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
I think where this global sort of shipping crisis has happened is right around Chinese New Year. So in theory, with a good plan, your inventory levels, you'd already have shipments way on the water, because you would be expecting not to ship much in Q1 where there's already disruption. Yeah. So I think that shipping strategy is crucial. I think, as you said, if you send large orders, then you are really able to be hit by these global events, which we can't predict.
Yeah.
I think what we're seeing is the container prices have gone from 3 figures to 4 figures, and it doesn't look like they're going to be coming back down very quickly.
Yeah.
What this means for a business, make sure you've got your shipping strategy so you're prepared, because there could be certain SKUs that are much more important than others when you see a 3 or 4 times increase in the shipping cost.
Absolutely, great advice. Oh, what about you?
I would say, if you're looking at as a shipper, looking at shipping in a container, think about the solution on shipping. Think about the shipping loose instead of on pallets, which gives you the opportunity to fill the container more than just put 20 pallets in a container. So you have you can use the advantage of shipping CBMs. If you're shipping low values, I would suggest to always make a comparison from is ocean freight or air freight or train, is it an option, and what is my break-even point on when to ship air and when to ship LCL and when to ship FCL. With that portion in the long time that I've been doing this is something that I always do for my customers. We need to help our customers to use the best opti-model which is possible, and that's what we're here for. And I think that if the customer reach out to us, we will be able to assist in this.
It's a great point. It's exactly what Angelo said about the product cost analysis as well, understanding the profitability and using the best possible option. We'll go to you, a final piece of advice that you have for our businesses, Angelo.
Yeah, of course. I would say, apart from the cost analysis, it's time of disruption. It's a time for opportunity. Entrepreneurs, they are the drivers of the economy, of the global economy. So you may find that this may be causing increased costs, may last, we don't know for how long. But I would say, in any case, finding, as El said, the optimum point in your pricing, understanding how you can make the most of this like this temporary disruption. But in any case, on a broader spectrum, it's also how do you position your business, being a global brand, because at the end of the day, customers may have to have certain options, but at the end of the day, you don't want to have a temporary disruption affecting your replenishing rates, your shipments, and also what kind of stock levels you have. So you don't want it would reflect really worse if you were understocked or you were out of your goods have run out, compared to the fact that you may be overstocked, you may be having certain cash flow outlay in the meantime, which is temporary, but at the same time you safeguard the position of your brand and you're able to portray that this is a brand that you can trust and relate to you as a consumer.
Amazing. Perfect. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. What I wanted to say is, should any of our listeners want to understand how the prices have gone up or gone down, basically, through KATA Global Logistics, you can do so by contacting us at enquiries@katagloballogistics.com. And thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thank you. Bye.